Peer Insight. This is Roz again. As you know, over a year ago, I studied Peer Insight with the goal to interview business leaders, female entrepreneurs in US, in other part of the world, to let them share with us their expertise, their insights, and also their advice to us. And as we know, even after post-pandemic, everybody will realize what is most important in our life is our relationship with family, with our business, and also why we work so hard for what we're doing. So today I have such an honor to invite our special guest today, Suzy Engwall. Hi, Suzy, how are you?
I'm good. Good morning. How are you?
Good, thank you. Suzy is a national director, Innovation Lab at the Innovation Institute, Newport Beach, California. The Innovation Institute is a for-profit limited liability company currently owned by 6 nonprofit health systems, serve as the commercialized arm of these health systems as well as the change agent for innovation culture. She's responsible translating the innovation strategy and vision for 3 of the 6 member systems, as well as 1 large hospital system subscription partner. She works closely with the C-suite at each of the and each to ensure the innovation lab is delivering value to this organization and their key stakeholders. Suzy also observed a team of client engagement executives who reside on site at our member systems and are responsible for the engagements of the clinicians, physicians, and other employee innovators. Suzy worked closely with these teams to build programs that inspire innovative thinking across member systems, implement educational design thinking classes, workshops, and run innovation challenges, hackathons, and Shark Tanks events. To say the least, I would love to hang my mic to Suzy to let her introduce to us what is her doing and also her passions of helping also all these startups in the health and wellness industry. Suzy.
Thank you, Roz. So I'm Suzy Engwall. I am the National Director at the Innovation Lab. I'm very, very passionate about making change in healthcare and doing what we can to help our patients and even our caregivers. I think that there's so many things that we could be working on. And before I was in the innovation space, I was in the healthcare space for about 10 years. And all the time we would come across things that were challenges and problems, and we would do performance improvement events to try to make those changes. And we did have a lot of success, but one of the things that I saw with that was you couldn't add any technology, you couldn't spend any money, and you couldn't add any staff. And those were real challenges to overcome. And every time we go through one of these events, we would hear, hey, if we could only create an app that does X or a new device that does Y. And so many times we would just kind of put those aside. So it was really great for me to work now in a space where we can say, sky's the limit. Let's look and come up with the best solution and then try to figure out how we're going to make it work instead of just, closing the door completely to spending money or creating new technologies or things like that. So I'm really passionate about this space. I think that there are so many patients and families and caregivers that need our help, especially right now with all the COVID craziness going on. And I'm hoping that, to stay in this space for a really long time and continuing to bring new products to market and make change.
Absolutely. We so appreciate you. As you guys knows, that all of you knows that I'm also now sit on the board and as a CEO of Athena Music Wellness. We are a music wellness company that the goal the same, which use music to enhance health for people around the world. So how I know innovatives institutes is we appreciate that actually Suzy invited us to be part of the demo days. We're proud to share to other people what music can help our people's children, especially and adults. So, Suzy, as a female, our executives are also have your professional life, personal life. Would you share with us how do you balance both of it?
I wish I could say I'm an expert at it. It is a challenge. It's very hard, especially, in this new world where we're all kind of working from home. There are many times that I'll look up at the clock and realize, oh my gosh, it's 8 o'clock. I should probably go do something with my family. So they have been really gracious. They know that I'm so passionate about this space, but I do have to be a little bit more mindful about how I manage that. It is not an easy thing to do. I think we all kind of get stuck in this when when we are excited or passionate about what we do, it's hard to break away from it. But I think really just taking the time to take a step back, making sure I'm taking time off, going and doing things with the family, and just being a lot more mindful about that division of time. Because, both things are important and passionate about both, but there's only 24 hours in a day. So I think it's really comes down to mindfulness.
Absolutely, absolutely. Most of our audience are not just here in the United States, also cross borders to other countries. So these are senior executives, our successful business leader, also our next generation of entrepreneurs. So what would be your good advice to our future star in the industry, especially for our female entrepreneurs?
I think stick with it. There are gonna, especially for our female entrepreneurs, there are gonna be people that are gonna tell you no, or there may be people, they're still out there, the people that think that you're doing less because you're female, or that because you have a family you can't manage. And I think that, as long as you're sticking with it and you're doing what you say you're going to do, eventually you're going to break through, and people are going to see that you know what you're talking about, you know what you're doing. I mean, for me, I think one of the hardest things for me to learn along the way was really feeling comfortable speaking up. Just making sure that, I think for a long time, I kind of had that mentality like, oh, I'm just going to kind of fake it through this. And then at one point, I just kind of realized like, I'm not faking it. Like, I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm doing. And I shouldn't be afraid to speak up and say those things. So I think speaking up, but doing it respectfully, obviously. In this space, I get really passionate about things. I'll have those days where, hey, I know this doesn't have a lot of ROI, but if this was your kid, you'd want to do it. And so making sure that I can make those compelling arguments, but in a constructive way, trying to take my passion out of it when I can, although that's really hard to do. I think one of the other things for me was that along the trajectory of my career, I think one of the things that I really didn't do a very good job at, that now that I manage people, I see so much. I interview all of these different candidates, and I find that men really work hard to negotiate for things that they want, salaries or benefits or other things like that. And women don't. Oftentimes they'll take the first offer that we make. And I have always done the same thing historically in the past. It took me a long time to figure out, you know what, it's okay to ask for what you want and what you think you're worth. So I think those are a couple of things that I'd really like to see come out of our workforce as we continue to grow and find strength in, other women, and really helping to champion other women too. I'm always happy to mentor folks if they call and ask for that. And I think, passing that along is a great thing to do. And I hope that everybody watching will also be offered to be a good mentor for people that are kind of coming up along the way.
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, so myself also as a die-hard entrepreneur, as most of you know, that Dandelion Global has spent the past 20 years, we've done cross-border global strategy and capital raise. And now I'm also, the past 3 years, I'm fascinated and also passionate about helping our in the wellness industry. And I do see for entrepreneur to climb the ladders, not the same as in the corporate. Well, we're facing almost every single anchors of the challenge, and
Yeah.
not to mention are from other part of the world. My motherland is China's, and I do know actually the numbers of the female entrepreneur in China the number is rocket high, and I just really adore that everyone just kind of like passionate in what they do, kind of like sucking in what they're challenging in front of them. But again, I think United States is the land for encourage entrepreneurs to start up innovation. So that's what I feel that for your organization be able to step up to help. It's just something that I hope that other countries that are, or even some of you been out there, that's your company putting some fund put together to support innovation. I think that one means a lot. And also help millions of the people. So, Suzy, for your organization, for organizing, to all these demo days, to bringing investors, founders together, and tell us, are you more helping projects here in the States, or eventually, what is your vision about maybe eventually expand to global? Share with us.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, we work in the States. That doesn't mean that we wouldn't work with somebody international. Our core business is really taking ideas from inside of health systems and commercializing them. But with startups, I think, one of the nice things is we have a lot of different partners. And I think most of our partners are willing to work with any startup from anywhere. We've got partners to help with financing. We've got partners to just help with strategy and entrepreneurship and coming, how to talk to a bank, those kinds of things. I think there's a lot of different ways that we can be of help. So our organization mainly works with folks in the United States, but if we get called from somebody, or if we get an idea even submitted to us from outside the US, we'll definitely take a look at that. I do think that eventually that is our company's strategy, but right now we're really focused internally in the US.
Thank you. I believe that I'm also our equity shareholder with two of the large innovations centers in China's major city, Shanghai. I believe that if there's an opportunity in the horizon, I would definitely love to have the leadership team to learn, or maybe to exchange to learn about how your innovation lab to help our company in the model that you guys do. It would be amazing. Yeah. All right. Next fun question is, could you describe a Suzy day? One day, how's your day go? Like, describe a day of your life.
Oh, geez. Well, before or after COVID. So right now it's a lot of Zooms, but every day is different. It's one thing I really, really like about this. I really thrive in kind of working in the gray area and trying to figure things out and helping problem solve. So one day might be filled with, doing an ideation session with folks. We've been working on an autism project where we've been talking to patients and families and caregivers to try to help understand their healthcare journey and make an impact in it. So that might be something we're doing in 1 minute, and the next minute we might be running a startup demo day like you're going to be participating in here pretty soon. We also do hackathons and Shark Tanks, so we may be in the middle of something like that. And maybe the next hour I'm on a call, a strategy call, trying to figure out, what our metrics are for next year. So I think it varies so much, and each project we get in is so different. So we might be working on a device for, we have a device, for example, for kids with attacks of cerebral palsy that we're working on right now. And then the next minute we may be working on an app or a website or something different like that. So it's a really interesting space. And I don't know if it's a space that everybody thrives in. If somebody really likes kind of that repetitive of, I come in, I do X, Y, and Z, and then I go home, maybe not the best space. But if you thrive kind of in that ambiguity and you really get excited about helping other people solve challenges and problems, it's a really great space to be in. And that's one thing that I really enjoy doing. So I just feel honored and blessed to be working in this space. When I originally came into this organization, this was really kind of my dream for what I wanted to do. And doing it in healthcare, I think, is really kind of just the cherry on top. I'd love to do this for any type of business, but really healthcare is where my heart is, especially pediatrics. And so I just feel like very lucky and very honored to be working in this space. It's fantastic.
So we also have a lot of fans. I think we believe over 25,000 fans. These are younger age than you and me. These are master degrees in innovation and entrepreneurships, and for all these young girls out there, and they are young, they're into the industry, they're really fearless to getting in. And do you have any advice or resource do you think they should connect with, and to as a support or a network they should be with for their future business?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of different places that you can find. First of all, you can find information online, free all the time. But I think LinkedIn is a great resource. Don't be afraid to reach out to people. I have people all the time on LinkedIn and reach out to me and say, hey, do you have 30 minutes to just talk to me about my career, or, to tell me who I can talk to? It kind of depends on what you want to do. If you want to, if you want to run a startup, you might want to connect with other entrepreneurs. You may want to connect with resources like, out here, we've got Scale Health. We've also got a resource, the Small Business Development Center down at UCI. We've got a lot of different resources. So it's really about finding those in your community and finding those ones that match up what you want to do. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, it may be best to start, talking to people who not only fund companies like different venture capital companies, also look into some crowdsourcing options. There's a way to get funded through there. We work with a company called Red Crow that's been a great partner for us. So there's a lot of different people that you can talk to. And I think that's the best way. I mean, for me, the way that I've always kind of found that next step along my career trajectory has always been just getting in there and getting to know people and helping them to understand what I'm good at, understanding what they're doing, and then really trying to position myself in the best light for what I want to achieve and do. So don't be afraid to ask for help. That was another thing I never really did along the way. And now I've got people reaching out to me all the time. I'm like, why didn't I do that when I was younger? What was I afraid of? The most they can do is say no. So ask folks. I think more people than you think are willing to help and talk to you.
Right. Wow, that's amazing. I remember years back, like you said, the same. We don't know how to reach out, or we don't even know the resources right are in front of us, and we just work, just think.
Yeah, you just
Nowadays,
go.
I think is with technology, is the world is getting smaller, and so like Suzy say, you guys need to be more open-minded and don't be shy. Reach out, and certainly, try to participate, try to reach out to some network, and we believe help is up there for you guys. So now the last question is kind of like a big questions, which is now with the pandemics, and now also new others are things popping up as well. There are countries in Asia like India is suffering, and we're in the health and wellness industry. What do you see the landscape? What do you think are the focus will be? Because after last year, beginning of this year, the first quarter, I believe we were exciting about we finally probably closer to pandemic behind us. But bam, right now some new stuff coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think? What do you think of rest of the quarters and next year? What will be, our challenge, or our, what's your vision? Yeah.
I think you're going to continue to see sort of this surge around telemedicine. I mean, so many, when the pandemic started, so many hospitals went from, I was talking to one last week and they're like, we went from 2,500 calls a month to 25,000 calls a month, telehealth visits. So I think you're going to see that continue to grow, but really finding new ways to expand that. So there are a lot of services like mental health that are starting to have more telehealth options, which is really important right now. We've got a mental health crisis that's huge in this country, especially for our young kids and our teenagers. We really need those services, but I think you're going to start to see other things grow, like different devices that can be sent home to patients' homes, wearables, new technologies like that, so that to better enable telehealth, so that you're not just doing your primary care visit or hey, I have a pimple, here's what it looks like, kind of thing, that you can do more, more detailed types of telehealth visits as well. I think you're going to see that growing. I think wearables are continuing to be huge. Artificial intelligence and machine learning is being talked about more and more and more. You heard about it. I heard about it a lot, for the past probably 3 or 4 years. But it's really, I think, in the past like 12 months or so that I'm really starting to hear people building, even more and more with using artificial intelligence. It's got to be done in the right way and you've got to use it smartly, but there's a lot of applications for it in healthcare. I do think one thing that we could do is help our clinicians and physicians understand where it could be used and how it could be used. And then I think we would even get more ideas to the table. Internet of Things is, I think, going to continue to be important. There's so many kind of trends that I think we're all kind of familiar with, but I think you're going to continue to see what's happened over the last year or so kind of grow, especially as this COVID, research sort of starts and then kind of pulls back, and then we'll probably have another uptick. So we've really got to rethink the way we're doing things. I think the other thing that's interesting too is that, we're starting to hear a lot of our health systems thinking that, hey, before the pandemic, everybody had to be on site, but now they're really focused a lot more on how could we use the space that we have in a better way? Could we see more patients? Could we have more patient rooms? Could we take all of these people that are not, delivering care at the bedside and put them somewhere else? So I think you'll see some trends with new things coming out to enable those. Like Zoom just even got a little bit better. They just rolled out an events platform that they didn't have in the past. I think you're going to continue to see a lot of those remote workforce tools being developed as well.
Fantastic. Wow. Today we had an opportunity to have Suzy to share with us. And as most of you know, that on September 2nd are commissioned by the UCI's Business School, our MIE program, that I am going to host an event titled Wellness and Wellbeing for Female Entrepreneurs. And I have invited Sarah Zaps, and Gray, Professor Angelo Molino. We're coming in to share with all of us about, as a female entrepreneur, how do we also at the same time taking care of our mental health? So make sure that you guys checking in. And Suzy, we'd love to see whether we can collaborate with innovative labs, that also to share with our innovation centers. In Shanghai, we have 25,000 members. These are the companies that have products already in markets. And so we actually have successful cases that are their company go IPOs Hong Kong. So for you guys, this is so each of the center have their very unique model to help our business. So that's the things that I love about. For me, it can be a bridge for all the business, the founders, and also for institutes. That is the goal. So today, again, I thank you so much for having this time in your busy schedule for all of us. I appreciate it. And I'm going to see you at the demo day.
Fantastic. Thank you guys. Thanks so much for having me.